All right. Good morning, everyone. We're going to continue the series on They Not Like Us. But today we're going to talk about the illicit fast. The illicit fast, and being around for quite a while and listening to some of you and your fasting techniques and your habit, uh, it's often good to know that before we continue our teaching on sonship, many of you have to really know what a fast is all about and what it consists of. Because a lot of times when you're in sonship and God is leading you or He's giving instructions to fast, you have to understand fasting is all about discipline of the mind, body, and spirit. And it's often done to get the mind, body, on spirit on one accord. So when God says to call it the illicit fast, we got to understand what does illicit mean. Illicit means not allowed by law, unlawful, or illegal. And because of the state of the leaders and the state of the people, many people have been using fasting for things that it wasn't even designed to do. We're going to be in Isaiah chapter 58 as we discuss this, because you don't use fasting for weight loss, although you can lose weight. You don't fast for God to show you somebody's heart and you know you messed up. You don't use fasting to get things from God, because fasting is done to show you your weakness in God. And that's just a few of them. So a lot of times you got to understand that fasting is done to clear the world out of you. Isaiah chapter 51, it says, cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sin. The first thing you got to understand, the reason some of your fasting is not working is because you don't want to acknowledge your transgression. You want to expose everybody's sin but yours. So what you're fasting for is illicit, because it's, number one, it's going against the word of God. So when you sit and you on YouTube or TikTok, Facebook, and you looking at people teachings or conversations, and you see one and it speaks of the sin that you in, but you ignore the sin, because for most of us we self heal and self will and self desire. So selfishness does not allow you to see who you are, but selfishness allow you to see who everybody else is. So the first thing you got to understand when you begin to fast, what, God's, what is my transgression? What is my sin? Am I fasting? Are you going to talk to me? Because when it get at verse 2, it says, yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness and forsook not the ordinance of their God. They asked of me the ordinance of justice. They take delight in approaching to God. See, Isaiah was getting you heathens told. He said, yeah, they don't want to acknowledge their transgressions. They don't want to acknowledge their sin, but yet they praying to me every day. They, they want to know everything about everybody. They want to know what God doing. But yet you forsaking his ordinances. They take delight in approaching me. I, ooh, I pray every day at 5 in the morning. I pray 3 times a day. I pray 2 times a day. That doesn't matter when you get up and you in the same sin that you're in. So you got to understand sometimes when God is teaching, no matter uh, uh, who it is you may listen to, he's speaking loud and directly to you. The reason a lot of us don't hear when he speaks loud and directly to us because we think we already healed. We think we already delivered. We think we okay with God. So many people have taught sheep to fast in a way that's illicit to God. So that's why when you get through fasting, you get your answer, but your answer goes against God because now you still in sin. Now you got what you want, but it ain't what you want. But because you don't want nobody to know that you made a mistake, you staying in longer than you have to. Hmm. Does that sound like us? Verse 3 says, wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast you find pleasure and exact all your labor. See, that word afflicted is key in fasting. See, you can't, listen here, some of you can't even fast right. Afflicted is defined, it means impaired, stricken, mentally, physically unfit, or grievously affected. See, back in those days, what Isaiah is trying to get them to see is that back in those days, they was fasting for 20, 30, 40, 50 days. And it afflicted their soul, which means you can tell they were fasting over time. But they didn't get knowledge. They didn't get knowledge is because they didn't understand their sin. See, you can't fast thinking you in right standing with God. You got to fast to get in right standing with God. Therefore, when they fasted, they didn't get any knowledge is because they thought they were perfect anyway, which many of you have made fasting a tradition. You think you in perfect harmony with God. So you go to fasting. Every time I fast, God answer me. God, when I go to fast, God answer my prayers. That's pride. Because see, suppose one of your fasts is that you got to stay 30 days away from your wife, from your husband, from your child. Would you do it? Or will you break down and act always? God done gave me my answer, so he said I can break my fast. You don't break a fast going back doing the same thing you were doing before you fasted. Why do you think breakfast is called break fast? See, y'all will be on a fast 5, 10 days, and then you go right back to them T-bone steaks. You go right back to them lemon pepper extra wet wings. You go right back to the sin that you in. So when you fast, you take no knowledge because what it said, behold, in a day of fast, you find pleasure. See, a lot of y'all take fasting as a game. Well, I'm gonna fast for half a day and then I ain't gonna do social media and this and that. That ain't got nothing to do with fasting. That ain't got nothing to do with fasting. By not going on social media. It says afflict your soul. But see, some of y'all need to be off social media because be a leader in the body of Christ is all you showing is booze, booty, and fashion. You shouldn't be on social media anyway. You should be somewhere fasting. I was amazed when I was in that woman church down there in Birmingham, and I'm listening to how people say they fast. I said to myself, they giving themselves the answer they want. Because there's no affliction of the soul. See, when you listen here, y'all ever been poor and you wanted something to eat and couldn't get eat, and you get them hungry headaches? Your back go to growl. I mean your back go to touching your front and your stomach growling. See, when you fasting, it's gonna be pain and fasting because you denying the flesh. That ain't no fast if you ain't eating, but you want to fast the way you know that you can get over with. Well, I'm a fast, but I'm gonna make sure I drink this kind of smoothie. Well, I'm a fast, but I'm gonna drink this kind of orange juice. Well, I'm a fast. See, you picking your fast. You find pleasure because if your fast don't have your head hurt, if it don't have your eyes water, if you see, you got to feel your body eating that fat in your stomach. See, we talking about fasting. You ain't did nothing if you don't feel no pain. It said, behold, you fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness, ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. So what? So actually, what Isaiah was saying is that a lot of us are serving God in vanity. You got vain worship. Huh? So what he was saying, your heart wasn't right. You did it and doing it as an empty ritual. I fast every Monday and Wednesday. I fast every 12. We don't care what you do. It's empty. And when you fast with an empty ritual, you get fleshly revelation. That's why what you know you don't need, you often say, God said I can have, because you didn't fast. You went on a hunger strike. See, watch this. It says you fast for strife and debate, which means y'all fasted for needs, selfish need. Lord, show me this man heart. Do he really want me? Lord, is he cheating on me? Lord, I need a car. Lord, I need a house. You don't fast in selfishness. Lord, I need to use 20 pounds, lose 20 pounds. Lord, help. And please don't be over here. Lord, I'm fasting so you can avenge me in front of my enemies. What you're doing is fasting to get God to glorify you. That's not a fast. So if you fasting for God to expose or do something to Brother Hubbard, I'm here to tell you it ain't working, because that's not how fast work. A fast is only to get your spirit in alignment with God. So if you around him fasting for a husband, it ain't working. You fasting for a wife, it ain't working. You fasting for a job, it ain't working. That's all selfishness. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and things will be added. You ain't even in the kingdom, but you fasting for kingdom stuff, kingdom responsibility, kingdom authority, kingdom wisdom, kingdom authority. Let me fast, so I'm gonna fast till my wife come. Well, y'all better sit down. That's selfishness. That's vanity. That's self-glorification. This is where we get it at. Verse number 5. Is it such a fast that I have chosen? A day for man, that word again, to afflict his soul, is to bow his head as a bulrush and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him. Wilt thou call this a fast and an acceptable day of the Lord? So watch this. Isaiah, from 1 through 4, he told y'all ain't doing it right. Then God began to speak. He said, is it a fast I chose? Let's put a sad by him. So everything that you done fasted for, throw it out the way. Just forget it. We doing this amnesty week. You fasted wrong. You been fasted wrong. All the answers that you got was self-will, self-motivated, and self-expression. You fasted in vanity. How did I know you fasted in vanity? Because I just told you. If your back didn't touch your front, if your eyes didn't go to crying, and if your head didn't go to working, you just went on a hunger strike. You went on a hunger strike till you got your pleasures of life. Now here God goes to put fasting in perception. He said, a day for man to afflict his soul. Listen here. If it ain't hurting, it ain't right. I'm just going to say it. Y'all like it for it to hurt other ways, so why not when you're seeking God? See, you know how your heart felt when you felt that man was tipping on you. That's how that fast supposed to feel. You know how you felt when your heart got broken. That's that's what you need to feel. All this other, I done fasted for 5 days, but you done sipped the peppermint here and there. I just need some taste in my mouth. No, your mouth's supposed to be dry and tasteless because that's your life. But you better drink that water or you're going to die. Jesus went 40 days, never water, because he wanted something for God. So have the fast you've been choosing, well, we just gave you amnesty on them. A lot of people choose comfort fasts. That means I'm gonna fast for 5 days, but I'm gonna do a half a day fast because you know you want to eat the rest of the day. You know you got a little food stamp, so you finna go get one of them T-bones. Y'all know how y'all do. We already talked about what afflicted means. See, you ain't fasted and you don't feel afflicted. See, you got to get dizzy. When you stand up, you got to fall back down. Now, some of y'all might not get to it, but I'm painting a picture that if you don't feel it, then guess what? You ain't did it. Then he goes on, what he says, you got to bow down his head as a bulrush. Now a bulrush, if you ever been to like a stream or a lake, that's tall thing that come out with the little furry things on it. And guess what? When the wind hit it, it blows over. It bows down because it's so sensitive. I guess you caught that one. See, God got to make you sensitive to his spirit. So that's why he got to make sure that when you fast, that he's afflicting the flesh. See, your flesh want that them beef ribs and that porterhouse, but your spirit got to be sensitive. So you got to be like a bulrush, huh? Anywhere that wind blow, that bulrush go because it's sensitive to the wind. See, fasting make you sensitive to the voice of God. If you still need confirmation, if you still want somebody to give you an answer, you're not sensitive to the spirit. You ain't sensitive. What he said, and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him. What that means when y'all the one that got, especially y'all people who eat them boiled peanuts and that stuff like that, y'all remember them sacks, but they come in, they be all rough and rough and feeling. So what he's saying when he said you got to feel rough when you're going through this. See that them ashes represent stuff dropping off. See, you on that sackcloth because every time you touch it, it makes you uncomfortable. See, when you on a real fast and God begin to expose you for who you are, every time he show you what you done, you should feel sick about yourself. You should know that man husband ain't your husband. I mean that girl wife ain't your husband. Whatever it is, y'all know what I'm saying. You should know you don't need to be going over there at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. See, when your spirit ain't sensitive, your flesh run wild. So many times as believers, we do things because we have debased our spirit to accept our sin. But when you fasting, God go to tell you, you wrong. You know you don't supposed to be doing that. And then you on them sackcloth of ashes, and and see, I don't know about y'all, but you get to be then you think about how you used to live. Then you think about the goodness of God. And then even the thought of you sitting make you sick. The thought of you lying. See, well, people already say I know everything. That's why when people tell me they done fasted or this and that, because I understand this stuff, because God done showed me the secrets of certain things, I can just look at them and tell them, no, they ain't fasted. See, fasting put a certain kind of appearance on you. Fasting, when you fasted, your spirit is seen more than your flesh. That's why sometimes when you hear me talking about as messed up as I was, as messed up as I am, when I walk out in the town and people come and look at me, it's something about you. Hey, you a preacher or something? It's because my spirit is more than my flesh. Now watch this. It's not that I'm perfect. It's that I got the relationship needed to continue operating in perfection. And a lot of us, we think we perfect, but we ain't got the relationship to operate in power. Fasting gives you access to power. Huh? So what he's saying, if you feel like this, would this be a fast to you? See, a lot of people can't do that. I got to take my medicine. Fasting is medicine. Fasting medicine. But watch this. It ain't my business to tell you to take what you take. It's God's business to tell you. See, this is why I said, is this the fast I chosen? See, God got to really speak to you to lead you on a fast. See, some people go on a fast based on their emotions. Verse 7, he says, is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from their own flesh. See, fasting, when God chose it, what it's saying in verse 7, it gets you to change your perception of people. See, you can't go on a fast and you see somebody hungry and you say, well, I'm gonna pray for them, but you just bought some food stamps from the neighborhood woman and you can't go in there to give them that. See, when you really fast, because it changes your perception of people, it leads you to go out and help people. See, when he talks about deal thy bread to the hungry, it means you have a heart for people. Huh? When you see somebody ain't got nowhere to stay, hey, come stay with me. See, but we in a time, everybody can't stay with you. You can't even go out on a date no more and make it back home. You can't even go on your job and think you're gonna come back home. So fasting makes you sensitive to spirit. So I don't care how good she look, he look, how much money he make. God, do I need to do this? You need to be able to hear a sure and consistent no or yes. See, you need to be able to know a party going on. You got invited, and all of a sudden God said, no, you don't need to go. That's how serious it's gonna get. So that's why we teaching this message. A lot of your fasting have been illicit because they have been flesh led and not spirit led, and definitely not God led. Because you go in fasting as a sinner, you come out fasting as a sinner. When thou seest the naked, thou cover him. Which means if you see Brother Hubbard doing something wrong, you don't try to out him. You pull him back. Hey, Brother Hubbard, the devil got you. Listen to him, man. You don't need to do this. Listen to him. God showed me you doing this. Hey, God showed me doing this. See, but you Bible thumpers, you super saved saints, the minute you find out something, hey, guess what? Guess what God showed me about Brother Hubbard? Guess what I seen Brother Hubbard do? And then we're gonna talk about you. We ain't gonna talk about you who just make up lies. Guess what it is? See, that's proof ain't no God in you. Many of you are going to get to actually see what I be seeing. You're gonna hear what I be hearing. You're gonna feel what I be feeling, and you're gonna be in the same situations that I be in. Why is that necessary? I'm not gonna be here forever. So when God knows somebody has a purity of anointing, a purity of heart, it has to go somewhere. That's why if you read the Old Testament, they talk about throwing mantles on people. Somebody got to get this. Do you know the only way I'm in ministry is because of my aunt? It's because of my aunt. Nobody in my mama side of the family was ever called to ministry. But my aunt was called to ministry. Her three children didn't accept the call, or they didn't understand it. See, my auntie, she grew up in that Kojic holiness. You know, that means when you woke up and you left out there at 9 o'clock in the morning, you didn't come back home by 9 or 10 that night. It was a whole, it was a whole adventure. But so what happens? I never get how God told it to me because I was a young child. I didn't know. When I walked in my auntie house that day and I seen that man raised up with them black eyes, I didn't know that she was being raised from the dead. All I heard my auntie say, "Boy, get your ass out of here. Get out of here." And boy, I turned and I ran back home. I stayed about 4 blocks. It wasn't until 3 days later that they was in the little church around the corner that they said what happened. And yeah, my nephew came in there, and time he came here. It was that day then that God chose me because without me knowing, I witnessed the supernatural. Being an innocent child. Now watch this. A lot of y'all that know y'all will be preaching the gospel. You were innocent children. But but somebody, somewhere, boy, I wish that I wish that lady would have. They ain't have it back then. If that lady would have taken that encounter and when it happened, man, I could be playing it like that. That's when everybody started coming to auntie. And what I liked about my auntie, she was just as plain. She it didn't even mean anything to her. I think that's where it come from. She'll get up there and she cook them rutabagas over there with them turnip greens. And she had that fig tree in the backyard. And I go out there and get me an old fig. See, y'all supposed to see. Watch this. When you see the person, and this for anybody. That's why I say person that have the knowledge to change your life and your life changing. You never try to expose their weakness because guess what? It's them covering up your weakness is how you getting your strength in God. See, that's why you gonna go on a fast to expose somebody wrongdoing, to expose somebody heart. That shows you don't have the right heart. That's when he goes and hide not thyself from thy own flesh. See, sometimes when you in fasting, when you in prayer and you hear God say something, you say, "No, I ain't like that." But when you in fasting mode and you really ain't praying, and God begin to tell you about yourself, then you can say, "Oh, I am like that." That's why I ain't ashamed. I ain't ashamed of nothing I do because God's showing me myself. And if God's showing you yourself, guess who the only one that got the power to deliver you? I can't self-deliver myself. I learned that when I first came in ministry. Y'all know when I tell the revelation that, I began to go in the house because I was avoiding women. I shop at night. I wait till the mall open. I made my plan. I'm gonna go in there and grab what I want to come out. And then right before that New Year's, he said, "You ain't delivered, you hiding. You might as well go on back out there because you ain't delivered." And I had to think about what he said. See, you ain't delivered till you can face what you're trying to avoid. See, sometimes you got to see baby mama to see if you really deliver. You got to see baby daddy to see if you really. Sometimes you got to look in that ex-husband face. But don't look at mine. I ain't like y'all. And see, that's the good thing about God. He already know how we react and what we gonna do. But watch this. You got to know you. That what fasting do. I know my strength. That's why often when you hear me say, I say, even when I'm wrong, I'm right. Even when I'm wrong, I'm right. Because I know me. Now, in verse 8, it goes on. It says, then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thy health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Lord shall be thy reward. See, when you really fasting, light means clarity. It means perception, understanding, wisdom, knowledge. See, when you fast, it's often open up God's mind for you to see why you really call the ministry. Huh? You got an incurable disease. He said your health shall spring forth speedily. When you fasting according to God, the Bible gonna heal itself. The body gonna heal itself. Righteousness shall go before thee. They ain't gonna be gossiping about you, about the sin you did. They're gonna be gossiping about the change in your life, the power you got. The glory of the Lord shall be thy reward. See, because you got a relationship with God, you already rewarded. So when it talks about rewarding, it means he finna give you something else. Why would he give you something else? Because you seeking the kingdom, and now he got to add something for you, add something to you. It's because through fasting, you get a perception of who you really are in the spirit, not in the flesh. Watch this now. Then shall thou call, and the Lord shall answer. Thou shalt cry, and he shall say, here I am. If thou take away from the midst of the yoke, the putting forth of the finger, and speaking vanity. Now, watch what he says now. He said, when you do a fast right, that's when he gonna ask you. You notice how I tell y'all about timing? When you in right standing with God, him talking to you is instantaneous. And see, a lot of you in the right standing with God, and he speak to you instantaneous, but because you're more flesh than spirit, you don't believe it's God. It's because your confidence ain't there. All right. He said, take away, if thou take away from the midst of Yahyo, the pointing forth a finger, that means trying to expose everybody. Yeah, trying to talk about somebody. Yeah, trying to call people pride. You know, and speaking vanity. What you got, what sorority, what sorority, what fraternity, what church you go to, that don't mean anything to God. But because you more flesh, your external world attributes are more powerful than your internal spiritual attributes. That's why he don't hear y'all. And if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday. It's a change of life. It's a change of life. See, watch this. That ex-wife, she got rid of me so fast. 9 years gone at a stroke of a pen. Watch this now. So now Brother Hubbard embarrassed, can't figure that out. So he had to go down a little path. I'm trying to help y'all now. And when he go down that path and he going over to Dothan to find him somewhere to stay, and he see this little raggedy old hoe. I ain't gonna call it raggedy. They took care of the best they could. But it wasn't my standard. You know, it wasn't my standard now. Not from where I came from. And I said, and it said $600, all utilities. And I went in there and she said, yeah, we got one and you can move in today. $1,200. Boy, I went in that pocket, flop, flop, flop. I went and got me an air mattress. Went and bought me old refrigerator. And I went in there. And there is what God began to cut on it. That's where the demons, see, y'all didn't hear that. That's where the demons began to chase me. That's when they began to kill me. That's when I'm just staring at the wall. God, I don't want to be around here talking all this God talk. I ain't even got the favor of God no more. That's what the devil wanted me to think. But even though y'all remember that place, even though the internet wasn't good, Brother Hubbard was still up there. Telling that word. You know why? Because most of y'all got to get it in your spirit. No matter what you're going through, that gospel come first. Go and preach that gospel. You can cry and be mad all night, but you better get up there and preach that gospel. And boy, I used to be so mad because that darn internet kept going out. But watch this. So when he seen, I felt like Job, but when I got to the end of it, what I said, y'all better ask for your consolation prize. Huh? And then what happened? He said, boy, get up. You done been here before. And then that Holy Spirit go to talking. I remember the first time I was homeless. I remember the second time I was homeless. I remember the third time. And this here, the fourth time. But I noticed the pattern. Every level I dropped down wasn't the same level I started with. Then the devil got me with regret and guilt. Well, I brought them down here and they don't know nobody. I'm just gonna stay around in Florida just in case they need me. That mentality. That darn therapist said, hey, she said, hey, who decision it was? I said, well, it was her decision. She said, why are you gonna stop your life because another person's decision? Because when she made that decision, that meant, y'all better talk to them, y'all better tell them the truth. When she made that decision, that meant she already made up her mind that she had somebody else to depend on. And now you feeling guilty? She said, you better get up. You better get up. And see, a lot of y'all being guilty about decisions, and you need to get up. You got to get up. So watch this. When I got up and where he would lead me to go, I said, God, I don't want to go down there. I kept saying it. He said, boy, shut up and go live. This is the Lord now. Now what did Brother Hubbard do? He turned the key to that office. And see, watch this. That's why I've been telling you, every time you lose something, it's not a loss when you in the will of God. Huh? So the house I left, I got to upgrade. So cause now I can sit in the garage. I ain't got to sit on the porch and look at the little neighbors. I can sit in the garage and be nosy. Huh? I can hit that button. See, y'all be fasting for provision. And through fasting, God give you the provision that you need. He said that darkness be as noonday. It means that he allow you to see your flaws were actually his way of trying to bring you to him. See, just suppose if I were not there sleeping with them women and I keep asking God, well, what, God, why I'm doing this? I don't need to be doing this. I'm married, God. Why I do this? Why I do that? I got a girlfriend, God. Why I'm doing it? I kept asking, why? You ain't got to take this one for what it worth, but I'm gonna go more in depth when we start teaching our prophetic class. Do you know often the way you live your life is the way God used you to show you how the people are treating him? He told Hosea, go marry a whore. He told Ezekiel, eat that dung. He told another one, cut your hair off. See, a lot of times you got to realize when you crying out in your sin, don't use this as no excuse to sin because it got to be in your heart. See, I'm doing this, but I don't know why I'm doing it, but I don't want to do it. So I'm crying while I'm doing it. But it's not till God give you the revelation of who you are and why you do things. He used his prophets to symbolize how he see the people on earth. But y'all ain't got to believe that. See, that's why when you in God and you see somebody doing things that you see ain't godly, and you try to expose or belittle them for what you do, actually what God trying to show you, that's you. And the Lord shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones, and thou shalt be like a water garden, and like a spring of waters whose waters fail not. My revelations never fail. They never fail. You know why? Because I stay in constant pursuit of a relationship with God. I was sitting there this morning. Y'all know how sometimes, well, y'all probably ain't like me, but I was laying there last night and I was thinking about the Bible verse where God, let me see what I can find out. Where when he made the earth, it made sense to me, but it didn't make sense to me. But I think he gave it to me in pieces because see, I'm sitting there. I said, wait a minute now. This is just my mind. I said, how God became God and didn't know who God was. That's how I be thinking. I think that deep stuff. Because he said he's self-existent one. And then Genesis chapter 2, 1, verse 2 came to my mind. Because I would close my eyes because I was thinking myself as God. And I was thinking about it and I had my eyes closed. And when I had my eyes closed, all right, the scripture said, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. So when I asked God how he did it and I closed my eyes, that's what I thought. You know what I seen? Oh, you know what I thought? It's that God had his eyes closed. He didn't even know he existed. So that's what I got from that. It said without form and void. So I'm closing my eyes and I'm thinking, I said, okay, so when we're talking about the supernatural is always thinking when it don't even know what it's thinking about. So some kind of way, it says God created the heaven and the earth. So as long as God's eyes was closed, he had no idea who he was. But when he opened his eyes, he knew he was in a dark place. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water, which means, I said, God, are you trying to tell me when you found who you were, you cried, and that's where the water came from? And through that water, you know you existed? That stuck with me. I ain't saying that what he's saying, but that's how I think. Because one day I'm hoping we get to hear that message. But guess what? Y'all don't want that message. You want the message of gossip, slander. I need a man. I need a woman. I need money. Watch this. If you gonna fast, fast right. All the fasting you done, we're gonna give you amnesty on it. It's amnesty week because you was ignorant. Didn't nobody really teach y'all about fasting. So you think it's for weight loss, and you think you can get a house, and you fasting for a car, and you fasting for the loan people to get. That ain't what fasting about. Fasting is about getting a relationship with God so you can be sensitive to the Spirit.